Howie Roseman is about to make a phone call that could transform the Eagles' defensive line, my friend. And the name on the line? A 24-year-old pass rusher who racked up 7.5 sacks in 2025, playing for one of the toughest teams in the NFL. But hold on, because to land this explosive talent, the Eagles' front office would need to give up a quarterback who's collecting dust on the bench and has just 1 year left on his contract. I'm going to explain who this edge rusher is and why this trade could be the perfect move for both sides. But first, if you're a diehard Eagles fan, smash that like button and subscribe right now because this trade proposal is generating buzz among NFL insiders and could define the future of Philadelphia's pass rush. With the 2026 offseason approaching and Jaelan Phillips heading to free agency, the Philadelphia Eagles front office is looking to strengthen the defensive line. The team, known for always seeking young talent on controlled contracts, is exploring every option to keep the pressure on opposing quarterbacks at a high level. And this situation with Phillips is no small thing, my friend. We're talking about one of the team's main pass rushers, who could simply sign with another team in free agency without the Eagles receiving anything in return. This leaves a significant hole in the edge rusher rotation, a position that has historically been one of this team's strengths. The question is, how is Howie Roseman going to fill that void? The options are clear. First option, go heavy in free agency and pay the premium price the market demands for quality pass rushers. But you know Howie. He doesn't like to overpay in free agency when he can find value elsewhere. Second option, use a high pick in the 2026 draft to select an edge rusher. But that means waiting for an unproven player who could take years to develop. Third option, make a smart trade for a young player already in the NFL with proven production and a cheap contract. And this is exactly where things get interesting. Because while the Eagles have a need on the defensive line, they have something other teams desperately want: depth at quarterback. Tanner McKee isn't going to play in Philadelphia as long as Jalen Hurts is healthy. He's in the final year of his rookie deal. And everyone in the league knows that Howie Roseman has a track record of turning assets he doesn't need into pieces that actually help the starting lineup. Is he about to do it again? Ben Solak from ESPN even commented that the backup quarterback on Howie Roseman's roster is always in danger of being traded. And it's no wonder. In recent years, we've seen Howie make similar moves, always maximizing the value of players who aren't seeing the field. McKee fits that profile perfectly. Talented, young, with fans around the league, but without a clear path to see significant game action in Philadelphia. One name that has emerged in a fascinating proposal is Nick Herbig, edge rusher for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the suggestion? Bill Barnwell from ESPN appeared on the NFL Daily with Gregg Rosenthal podcast and proposed something intriguing: a trade between Tanner McKee and Nick Herbig, two players on rookie deals, both with 1 year remaining on controlled contracts. Barnwell put it like this: if you know someone who's obsessed with edge rushing talent, wouldn't you call the Eagles and say, Nick Herbig, Tanner McKee, two guys on rookie deals, you get a cost-controlled player for another year with phenomenal pass rushing numbers, and we get our quarterback of the future. Doesn't that sound like a scratch my back, I'll scratch yours situation? Herbig's numbers are impressive. The 24-year-old recorded 7.5 sacks in the 2025 season, playing in rotation with one of the best defensive rosters in the league. According to Pro Football Focus, he had an overall grade of 86.7, ranking among the best edge rushers in the NFL in his category. That's playing just 53% of the Steelers' defensive snaps. The big question is, imagine what this guy could do with more playing time. Herbig isn't just a promising pass rusher, he's a complete player. In 2025, he also forced 3 fumbles and made an interception, showing versatility and the ability to create turnovers, something the Eagles' defensive coordinator always values. And here's the detail that makes this proposal even more interesting. With Jaelan Phillips going to free agency, the Eagles could lose one of their main edge rushers. Replacing him with a young, controlled, and cheap talent like Herbig would be a classic Howie Roseman move. But what about Tanner McKee? Let's be honest here, my friend. McKee is a talented backup who impressed in the preseason and had good performances in meaningless games at the end of the 2025 season. He'll be just 26 years old going into 2026, but he's never seen extended game action. With Jalen Hurts firmly established as the starting quarterback and showing no signs of going anywhere, McKee is basically collecting dust on the Eagles bench. And here's the problem from Howie Roseman's perspective. McKee has just 1 year remaining on his contract. He'll become a free agent after the 2026 season. So the Eagles have three options. First, keep McKee on the bench for another year and lose him for nothing in free agency without any return. Second, try to extend him, which would be weird considering he'll probably want a chance to compete for a starting role somewhere else. Third, trade him now while he still has value. Ben Solak, also from ESPN, mentioned that McKee is always in danger of being traded, precisely because he's on Howie Roseman's roster. Everyone knows that Howie isn't afraid to trade valuable backups to gain assets or players who actually help the starting lineup, and McKee fits that profile perfectly. Now let's look at it from the Steelers' perspective. They have an uncertain quarterback situation. With discussions about the future at the position, having a young quarterback like McKee, who typically looks strong in the preseason and had acceptable performance in his 2 starts as a starter in Week 18, could be exactly what Pittsburgh needs. McKee can compete for a starting role or, at minimum, be a solid backup with development potential. And here's the best part for the Steelers. They're not desperate for edge rushers. With names already established on their defensive line, Herbig is in a position where he can't get the playing time he deserves. For Pittsburgh, trading a rotational player for a potential franchise quarterback makes perfect sense. This trade would be a dream for both sides. The Eagles get a young, productive, and cheap edge rusher exactly when Phillips is leaving. A guy with 7.5 sacks in limited time who could explode with more opportunities alongside other talents on the Eagles' defensive line. And all of this without spending a fortune in free agency or giving up draft picks. The Steelers, in turn, get a young quarterback with an interesting developmental arc, who's never had the chance to really show what he can do in extended game action. And both teams maintain cheap contracts for 1 more year, giving financial flexibility for other moves. Of course, this is just a proposal on paper. The news doesn't indicate that this trade is being actively negotiated, only that ESPN analysts are seeing the perfect fit between the needs of both teams. But if you know Howie Roseman, you know he's not afraid to make bold moves when he sees value. The real question is, do the Steelers really believe in McKee enough to give up Herbig? And are the Eagles comfortable trading their backup quarterback when depth at the position always matters? These are the questions that need to be answered in the coming weeks and months. One thing is certain. With Phillips leaving, the Eagles are going to need to do something at the edge rusher position, whether through the draft, free agency, or who knows, a smart trade like this one. And if Howie Roseman can turn a backup quarterback who was going to leave for free in a year into a 24-year-old pass rusher with proven production, well, that would be another masterclass from the most creative general manager in the NFL. So, what do you think? Does this trade make sense for the Eagles? Would you trade McKee for Herbig? Drop your opinion about this proposal in the comments. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe if you want to stay on top of all the Eagles' moves in this crucial offseason. See you in the next video.